Okay, thank you, everybody. It's nice to meet in person.
Likewise.
I gotta tell you, this is my second one today, by the way.
Wow. So you're a pro now.
You should feel privileged.
All right.
Just kidding. I'm excited about this one because the first thing they said to me in our prep was just riff. We love to riff. We love to read the crowd. And I'm excited about this. You guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
So first and foremost, please tell us a little bit about your background, what you did, what you do, family, things like that.
Okay. Hey, everyone. I promise we're going to be fun. Last one. I get it. We want to go eat and drink. So anyway, as a background, we're a husband wife. My name is Ian. This is my wife, Margaret. We still have an advertising agency. We're really advertising people at heart. We've had it for about 10 years. And then about halfway into the agency, we were like,
we decided to get married and have a kid.
That's true.
So that helped. But then, we start a family and you start to see all of these new problems avail themselves in your life. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't think of that before. And so as our first child, who's now 6, but he was 6 months old, started to eat little finger foods, one of the things we recognized was, oh, it's the time to eat cereal and use your pincer skills. And that's when I turned to Ian and I'm like, cereal. I haven't had a bowl of cereal in, I don't know, 10, 15 years.
And at the agency, we had clients like, Diageo and AT&T. And then we have ones where entrepreneurs would come to us and we would build the brand and the packaging. And it was really fun to get to watch something that you was just like a tissue session. And then it's, distributed around the world and in every Petco. So I think we always kind of knew we wanted to build a brand. And until Margaret said the idea, we didn't really know what to do.
And I think part of us didn't even know what we were getting into when we're like, oh, breakfast cereal. Oh, that's easy. Launch a brand. But it was a lot of work. And so it took us 2 years to develop the product. And that's probably the thing I'm most proud of, is our product. And I think that's really led us to where we are. But the marketing was a really fun part of it as well. And so the name 3 Wishes is, there were 3 of us. Now we have added 1 more son, but he's not part of the story. So as far as we're concerned, it's still 3 wishes. And so it was the 3 Wishingrads, and our 3 wishes for cereal were that we wanted to make it high protein, low sugar, gluten and grain free, which is the antithesis of what cereal is usually. And we launched in late 2019, and we've had a really fun ride bringing it to market and becoming the leading grain-free cereal, and marketing's been a big chunk of it, but it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you. So this session is labeled the Challenger Mindset, right? So started brainstorming a bit about what Challenger is. I'm just going to read some reference points here. The Challenger Mindset keeps you focused on innovation and solving customer problems, but most importantly, it prevents you from becoming complacent. And there are 5 ways that they recommend to be a Challenger Mindset. I'm not going to go into the 5 because you guys know them. This is your session.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I don't know if that's a personal description of who I am as a human or the brand, but both.
Well, one of the things I did want to talk about is the category that you're in, right? So I just looked up some of the brands. And by the way, as a review that came out yesterday on Mashed, I'm not familiar with that, but you were voted one of the best cereals. The marshmallow, even though there's no marshmallow, it tastes like marshmallow. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
People love it. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
But I think about the category that you're in, right? And 1928 Rice Krispies, right? Most of the other ones in that MASH write-up are from Post and General Mills. How do you compete in a market category like that?
Well, I mean, you compete in 2 ways. There's like a famous advertising expression, which is like the best way I'm doing like a George W. Bush, I don't even know my quote, but it was like, it was basically good advertising will kill a bad product really quickly. So we're really fortunate. The product's excellent. And that's really like the foundation. And then the marketing from there just comes from packaging. And then we've done a lot of buzzy stunts we'll kind of share and do. But ultimately, it's the same things that make you viral. You're always kind of just punching and going and trying to hop into a news cycle and do something to get people to have fun. Cereal is totally fun. It's not a serious category. And I think everyone has really good feelings about cereal. It's just like cereal is not particularly nutritious, and like the word got out. So when we were going into it, it was in categorical decline. So when we were going to raise money, people were like, cereal? Who eats cereal? And that was actually what we saw as the big opportunity.
Well, shockingly, most American households still eat cereal. And that's where that massive opportunity for us was. And I think we had to separate ourselves from being marketing people and figure out what do I want as a consumer? Because I am my key demo, and how do I speak to myself? How do I want myself to discover it? So those 2 years where we created the product, we also laid out that strategy, and we're so surgical at how we wanted to execute. And we really followed that roadmap. And I think that was another big part of how we got to where the brand is today.
And we went like what happened before us, which we've seen, is that wave of direct to consumer brands and the Warbies and the Harrys and the Caspers. And it felt like every brand I grew up with was being disrupted by someone. Someone was, Siete, if you know that brand, was taking on Doritos, or Bonza was taking on Barilla. So we're not pioneers in seeing success in being an insurgent thing. I think whoever did it first is the one that really gets credit for being OG challenger. Like, you're going against Gillette, you crazy,
Right. So before we get into some of the other parts of your strategy around funding, let's just drill a little bit, because some of the themes that we've been hearing, especially with the last session on advocacy and immersion and things of that nature. Have you explored, or how do you explore celebrity or immersion or advocacy or some of that stuff? Maybe talk a little bit about some of that.
Yeah, so we're definitely not that brand that's like, oh, we can afford to pay Lizzo, but when Lizzo did post about us, that was a terrific day. So I think for us, we've just really kept it organic in how people discover us. And so we've kind of stayed away from paying influencer or paying a celeb. It's really just been, hey, we'll send it, we'll see the product, and oh, we're at Push Coachella or whatever these activations are that just organically love the product. That's been the biggest thing for us, is leading with a product and allowing people to share about it in a really natural way.
And also thinking about how you get discovered is retailers are influencers. So do you guys raise your hands if you've ever heard of Erewhon in Los Angeles?
Wow.
Okay, well, you've heard about it now. It's like the second to Apple Store in terms of revenue per square foot. It's a grocery store, but it's crazy.
It's 7 doors. It's not even that crazy. But if you're in LA and you're potentially an influencer, you're definitely shopping there, and you're definitely paying $22 for a smoothie.
So like making sure to get on those shelves and to be there got us so much from celebrities who shop there and influencers who go there and people look there. So I think thinking there's a very big difference between being a famous brand like a Danone, where you're known and now you have to kind of convince people to try your new thing or whatnot. When you're unknown, the sequence and how someone discovers you, talks about you, is a massive factor in kind of a cool way to get organic word of mouth, which ultimately you want to be that brand that someone tells you about. Like, I tried this, like, oh, you put me on to that. That's what we're trying to do at the beginning.
And we also encourage all of our consumers to become evangelists. And a part of that is also the customer experience and making sure that every single person that comments or reaches out to us on Instagram, how do we convert them into loving the brand and knowing that it's people behind the brand and not just, oh, another brand out there in the world. So every touch point, whether it's our marketing, our community management, we try to really make sure those are valuable moments and keep them as sticky as we can to keep the consumer engaged and to get them excited about sharing us with the outside world.
They make it sound like it's just so easy to launch a brand in a competitive. Doesn't it sound really easy? Something tells me that it's the energy that these guys are exuding that helps them.
Okay, you know what's something about that? It's funny enough. So there's actually a huge component to it. So we'll show you some cool marketing things, and yes, we have the energy, but surprisingly, so there's other competitors of ours that all went direct to consumer, and direct to consumer, the playbook is a lot of money, PR, influencer, and Facebook ads and Instagram ads, or whatever, like the social media du jour is the playbook. But a huge factor for us is actually the relationship with the buyer, because that person is a massive. We have 2 consumers. We've got mom, and we've got buyer. And buyers takes a bet on you, especially early on. Like, there's no data. You're just like telling a story about the potential and what's going on, and then
it's like Shark Tank every time you
pretty much. And the fact that, like, knowing how to kind of bring that energy and excitement to the buyer, it's going, I'll take a bet on you, and then put you there. That where they put you on the shelf, I mean, that's like, a top of funnel or like a, retargeting ad. So it matters a lot.
By the way, I know a little bit about this industry. As these nice people know, I'm in the software business. So my questions will turn into technology and stuff like that, right? And how to run marketing as a business in a moment. But one of my first gigs out of University of Maryland, which, by the way, I just got solicited to spend some more money with my alma mater. I'm not sure how I feel about that right now. They're asking me in the middle of a business event. But my first gig coming out of college was an internship at General Foods, where I would audit the grocery stores for the beverage division. I would look for Kool-Aid, Country Time, Crystal Light, and I'd report back. And the district manager would tell me, next time you go into a store, just squeeze some of our packets into this planogram. And it was almost like it was the wild, wild west. How do you guys deal with some of that? Where
Nothing's changed.
Oh, really?
No, we literally pay third-party merchandisers to go in and take pictures of shelves and make sure they look right. It's so analog. There's like so much digital, but there's so much analog.
And yeah, it's a human business. I think that's what a lot of us forget is it's all people. So going into those stores, introducing ourselves. Hey, can you do me a favor? Can we get one more facing this week, pretty please? And
to me, it was like I was 20 years old, 21. They gave me a car. I would be in Arlington one summer in New Jersey. And I remember the guy was like, just go talk to the store manager and just don't slip him any money, but just assume that he's going to get paid later. And my numbers were out the roof. It was fantastic. So is that still the case?
It's shifted a bit, and I think everyone's gotten into these planograms, and it's definitely more of a system. But I think at the end of the day, if the demand is there and they're seeing that consumers want more of it, you earn a little bit more footage every time. And so that's what we've done. And a big part for us has been our packaging. Has been an extraordinary part. Is how do you stand out? So we would, like two crazies, go into Whole Foods once a week with whatever the packaging we designed that week before we had our final packaging, and we pull it out of our backpack on a box and shove it in and stand back and like tilt our heads 20 times and look at it to say, like, how do we show that we're healthy, we're innovative, we're premium, and all these other things that we thought were important for the consumer to really notice on that shelf. We even had Whole Foods thought we were stealing once because we just kept putting these boxes in and out of our backpacks. It was great, but it really allowed us to look at the set and understand, how do we compete here? What are the values that, like, what can we add to this category? And we kind of just continued to tweak it. And so we had certain buyers that looked at our packaging and were like, oh, this aisle is so boring. Like, we need some spice in it. We need the life in it. And so they'd say, hey, what flavors do you have? We'll lean in, we'll try you once. And then it performed, and that allowed us to remain there.
Awesome. So let's progress to your business. How has it grown? What's your strategy to grow it further? I know we talked a little bit about the funding model and some of your philosophies around that. Obviously, you have a successful advertising agency. You cater to a lot of blue chip customers. Tell us a little bit about that.
I think you guys have all seen this. Not just having money doesn't mean it's going to be creative. A lot of times taking that and don't think about an agency right now because they need money. But sometimes as a brand, taking some oxygen away and really thinking about how am I going to make any POW here with not many resources allows you to come up with some clever ideas. So for example, if you guys could pull up that drive-through thing. So we launched October 2019. And March 2020, we all know what happened. And we got into a region of Whole Foods or Wegmans and Stu Leonard's here in Yonkers. And okay.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's self-explanatory. Just go. Yeah.
Hit it go. Thank you.
A huge part of our business was doing in-store sampling, and I don't think that's coming back anytime soon.
The founders of startup cereal company converting their driveway into a drive-through.
Ian and Margaret Wishingrad,
The
co-founders of Three Wishes cereal.
A high protein, low sugar, grain-free cereal brand.
Made of pea proteins and tapioca.
You hear those ingredients, you don't necessarily think it's going to be a delicious breakfast cereal, but we worked on this for 2 years. So people taste it and they're like, how does it taste so good?
Ian, I know you gave me some, so I sampled it. It's very tasty.
You were off and running. It was doing great. And then coronavirus came.
Ian turned to me and he was like, well, we have a U-shaped driveway. Let's just host it in our driveway and serve our local community.
Thank you so much. Right.
And this is the new normal. We'll figure it out. We'll be okay with it. So what was unique there is we kind of looked at it and we're like,
We switched to Liberty Mutual and say,
we switched to Liberty Mutual too. No, but what was super cool, like interesting about that time was it was a horrible news cycle. It was hospitalization, shortages everywhere. It was a really tough time. And for us, we're like, okay, we can't sample anymore. We used to do that every weekend. What are the things we could do where it overlaps with, hey, let's be this like wonderful little story of how does a small family business thrive in a time like this? So we're like, what can we do to start small and start in our local community? And so it cost us really nothing, right? I had a pair of tongs, gloves, and Ian just like filmed our U-shaped driveway and people coming in. And so we then took that piece of content. And then we, pushed it out locally. Then it got rolled up to USA Today, that rolled it up to Fox. And all of a sudden, everyone's sitting at home during COVID watching TV. And we have this like multiple minute segment on Fox, which resulted in the biggest sales day. And we're like, it really took nothing to get us this really great moment. And so we kind of tried to use those themes a lot.
We did learn, like, after being on Fox for a couple of minutes on TV, A, TV still works. B, people eat healthy all over the country. It's not just a coastal thing, because Margaret had the inbox open and it was just bananas. And that was like, a very exciting moment.
Awesome. You mentioned a story when we talked the other day about Willy Wonka. Can you share a little bit of that and what you could have done to make it even better, but you didn't, and it still was great?
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing we'll show, don't play it yet, but basically we were still in COVID, which is a boring topic. And I know we don't like to talk about it, but it's part of our, like, how do you operate in COVID? We launched our first new flavor. We started with honey, cinnamon, and unsweetened, and we were launching cocoa. And we're like, how do we make noise about cocoa? So we had this idea to get it endorsed by all the living members of the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So
it was a whole chase up by like Ian reaching out to these people and finding them.
Can I just ask, when did that idea come to you? Was there anything involved with alcohol or something that's
sober
inhalable?
No. Having a remote team, we make a time every week to just do like a Zoom and hang, and we do try to make it a creative brainstorm.
So the one thing I want to touch on, this is where we take people that are doing supply chain and ops, people that are doing all different parts of the business that have nothing to do with cereal, but it allows us to not be sipping our own Kool-Aid all the time, because these are some of the same people that came up with some great marketing ideas that live in different parts of the country that we maybe don't think about. And also just like, one of them, our supply chain person, came up with one of our seasonal flavors out of nowhere in a meeting. And she used to dread these meetings because she's like, I know nothing about marketing. And we're like, you're not here to learn and talk about marketing. We just want your brain. Give us your brain for a half hour a week. And so that's been really valuable too.
And then basically I reached out. I almost gave up, but basically we were able to get the original Charlie, who's trying to not be found. Veruca, who's in the UK,
farm vet in upstate New York.
He's like he's literally in the middle of nowhere. And then Veruca Salt is in the UK, and Mike TV is, I think, like a real estate broker in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend in London speak German to Augustus Gloop's wife,
was an accountant in Germany.
And he's in Germany, and he doesn't want to be Augustus Gloop, so I couldn't get him. But anyway,
other living cast members.
You could play that one.
Hey, Dad, I want to go goose. Here we go again. All right, where is it? I want a chocolatey breakfast cereal now. I want it now. About time too. 3 wishes. Chocolatey breakfast cereal. It's scrumdiddlyumptious.
Now, the name soon to be heard around the universe is Mr. Mike TV.
I wish all I had to do from now on is sit here and eat this chocolatey cereal. And trust me, I know chocolate.
I'd like a bar of chocolate, please.
I hope there's another golden ticket in here. More protein, less sugar, gluten-free, and a great chocolate taste. I'm thinking this could be your golden ticket to a healthy breakfast. I wish I had thought of this.
And so that was a really fun one. Thanks, guys.
By the way, that's the first video all day that got a clap. So congratulations.
Wow.
Last but not least.
But it took, yeah. And so for us, we're like, how do we continue connecting people emotionally? Because that one gives you the warm and fuzzies. It gets you a little excited. And that we also think about, like, what's the lightest lift for these people? It's not like, hey, I need to fly you so we can take a day of your time. And send us an iPhone video. We're going to send you the product. It would mean the world to us if you endorse it. And it was great. But to touch on the point of, where spend matters and can change it, and this is something we discussed on the call, was this video did okay, it did well, but I think if we amplified that, it could have done something more than it did. But it's for us, it's just like, we'll throw 1,000 things against the wall, and if 5 of them stick, great. And if, I think we got comfortable on the agency side. We call it killing your own babies, of killing your ideas. And so we've gotten comfortable with just knowing that, okay, it's okay to kill an idea. It's okay if an idea doesn't work, and it doesn't stop us from progressing and doing the next thing and seeing, does that take off? And so that was a good lesson out of that one.
No, I think you're right. As we were discussing the preparation, we thought, okay, what does the audience want to hear from these nice people? And one of the questions was, do they want to hear about how to drive their success on a shoestring budget or with less funding, and the consensus was most people want to find a way to do that, right? And I think even big brands would want to do that. So let me shift gears a little bit and talk a bit about technology. So put the agency hat to the side for a moment. If this was your only business, okay, how would you grow it? What would you do going forward? Would you continue to not spend or raise the capital? How would you grow it?
I don't think the agency impacted how I choose to grow and spend in the business. I think for me, it's build it like a true business, build awareness the right way. And it's I assess every opportunity, whether it's sponsoring something or, hey, the hypotheticals, like if I did raise an additional $5 million, what am I doing with it? And would I do anything differently? And for me, it kind of comes back to no, I don't know. You might think differently, but.
No, I don't disagree. We would not do
We built
anything.
in a really organic way. And we love the way people are discovering it. Distribution continues to, double everything there. So we're not limiting the growth of the business with capital. We're just limiting how we choose to spend, whether it be digital or not.
We had another name. It wasn't Three Wishes, and we liked it. And we had a huge trademark issue. And we're like, ugh, huh? And so I think
you learn that everything the grocery stores apparently.
Yeah, it's impossible to trademark in grocery because anyone who makes coffee could essentially make a cereal. It's strange. But anyway, once we got the name Three Wishes, it kind of felt a little bit like super special, a little bit like, wow,
stars.
in the stars. And so there's two ways to kind of build a brand, I think. And one is like, let's raise money, let's grow, and let's do it. And let's, try to do it right. And then hope to sell it to a strategic. But when your name's on it, and I think we have something like, it just feels in your gut like a good one. You do want it to kind of go through the steps to be one of those American, iconic American brands, and not one that got sold and changed in a brand manager, that one's done. And you read that a lot of times. You see a lot of these brands that were big and sold, and then they're kind of on the garbage pile later. So I think if you're careful and measured in how you grow, you could potentially avoid that.
Okay, awesome. One last question, and we'll turn it to the audience. Sure, they want to pick into that energy and figure out how they can tap into it. From a technology perspective, part of the Uptempo mission is to help marketers run their business like a business, run marketing like a business. That means having clear plans associated to strategies and tactics and where the funding is, how to shift dollars around, how to make sure you don't overspend or, more importantly, underspend. What challenges do you have today relative to your technology stack or lack thereof? I don't know much about your technology stack in your business.
We don't even use Slack, honestly. So I think we're just pre that stuff. All the tech we use is very much in terms of seeing the shelf at merchandising, or
super functional. But I think for us, we have such control of the budget. It's not like I have to be I have to spend every dollar in that bucket, or where am I going to find the budget for this? I think it's fluid, and then we kind of look at it and we're like, hey, is this going to have what's the opportunity cost there, and what upside do we have? So that's kind of how we do it. But I think there's one more piece of creative that we want to share. That's
just to tee it up, but don't play it yet. But so someone mentioned NIL earlier, and we were the first brand to do a real commercial and put a college athlete on a box of cereal. So I went to Syracuse University in my senior year. There was this guy named Dante Green, and he was supposed to be the next Carmelo Anthony. He was not the next Carmelo Anthony, but he was supposed to be the next Carmelo Anthony. And he spelled his name Dante with an accent over the E. And I made a shirt and moved the accent, and it turned into an apostrophe. And the shirt said, "Dante leave," because we thought he was going to leave to go to the NBA after one season. And that shirt went viral in 2008. It was on the cover of the New York Times. It was on 97 TV stations. It was really cool. But then I got almost sued by the university. They issued me a cease and desist, and I was extremely petrified. I was like, thinking, do I burn the shirts? Am I going to graduate? And so I saw how viral it is when you tap into some people's passions, but also how dangerous it is. And so 2 years ago, they announced that college kids could now finally be paid. So anything I would have done would have been
full circle.
Very full circle. So I was like, if we're the first brand that can get a college kid in a real commercial, not like the minute they flip the switch and, they're going to be on their social media on Instagram saying, buy these sneakers or drink this drink. I meant looks like a commercial, the way that Michael Jordan and Larry Bird were in for McDonald's, like a proper commercial. If we made a real commercial, we put them on a box of cereal like Wheaties, we'll get a lot of buzz. And so I reached out to the coach of my team, whose son was the star. And within 2 weeks, we brokered a deal, shot a commercial, edited it, got it out. And then we had people going to the grocery store demanding the cereal. We didn't even produce it yet. So
And then obviously once the time came to carry the cereal, there was all this excitement from the local retailers, and that one happened to be Wegmans. And they just started building these incredible massive displays with hoops, with TVs playing the commercial. And I'm like, we didn't really do all that much to earn that. So thank you for that. But yeah, it was really great to see when you start to lean in these interesting little ways, what that can create for the brand. But take it away on the video.
What does NCAA basketball star Buddy Boeheim eat for breakfast?
Try 3 Swisher cereal.
Got 3 wishes, pal.
Try 3 Swisher cereal.
3 wishes, pal. Take 19.
Wishes. Try 3 Wishes Syracuse. No. 3 Swisher cereal.
Come on, bring it, buddy.
My bad.
3 wishes cereal. Take 44.
Try 3 Wishes cereal. I know a thing or two about threes.
God, perfect, pal.
It's Buddy.
And so what was really cute and funny about it and interesting when Ian had to write the spot, he's obviously not an actor. He's not going to be able to act. How do we want to keep getting the brand name across repeatedly so people know what they're looking for and hearing about? And then the other part is like, Buddy has this real like innocent cuteness about him and has a light lisp. And so we're like, okay, it's gonna be Swishes. We're gonna write the Swishes spot. And it was great. And that got us all this additional media pickup in addition to just like doing really well at retail.
and then literally the Wegmans buyers like, what is this? Stop. What's going on? How do I get this? Everyone's asking for this. And we're like, it was, the dream of, yeah, you could execute all you want at retail. Like we were saying, not everything's analog. Get the buyer to love you, put it on shelf. But when you drop a bomb and people come into the store looking for it, that really solves all your problems. But you can't really count on that all the time unless you just have an always on budget and you're blasting awareness, which is unaffordable.
This is awesome. Thanks for sharing the challenger mindset at play here. Before we go to questions, let's raise our hands. One participation session here. If you've had cereal for breakfast. No, in general, in your lifetime. Okay. Keep your hand raised, please. If you've had cereal for lunch. Okay. Keep your hand raised if you've had cereal for dinner. Come on. Everybody should still be up.
Mhm.
Raise your hand if you've had cereal after a night of heavy drinking. Okay.
Wow.
So you're welcome.
Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you. All right. You could just shout it out. We hear you. Never mind. We're waiting. We're waiting for a mic.
There's a mic coming. Hold on.
There we go. Yep.
So we have 3 wishes in my household, and we found our way to it through the gluten-free. My wife is gluten-free. I'm wondering how much of consumers is that the way in versus, the other health benefits, lower sugar.
That's interesting. So when we were developing the product, we kind of looked at what are the problems in cereal and how do we solve all of those? And we kind of did something that we would yell at if it was not yell at, but we would criticize because we're like, we want to say 3 things. And for clients, we're like, you could say 1, stop saying 3. But we realized everyone had a little bit of a different answer on why they left cereal. Some people were like, oh, it was too much sugar. I couldn't eat it, too much sugar, or didn't have enough protein for something like breakfast. I need to start with something heartier, or it was the gluten and grain free. And so for us, we looked at it and we're like, how do we solve all 3 of these? And just from a design perspective, hope that whoever's looking at it, the right claim catches their eye, and that's what reels them in. So some people do it because they're trying to be healthier. Some people do it because they want more protein or it was less sugar. So we're happy to capture all of those consumers. And then our favorite is people that don't like healthy food and then try it and they're like, damn, this is good. And those are our favorite. But yeah, I'm glad that you're the 3 wishes.
And to kind of add to that, when we got into Wegmans, it was right before pandemic. They wanted to take more SKUs, but pandemic hit and everyone went into like bat down the hatches. The lowest 20% of SKUs were kicked out of stores. Bring back the whatever, it doesn't matter. People are home, they're scared, they just want to eat and supply them. So we got shoved to the gluten-free section of the store, which we weren't sure about because we were in mainline cereal, where you want to be, on Broadway with facings. And now we're in like healthier for you. And interestingly, it was amazing because it kind of self-select, and everyone, like you said, who's looking for gluten-free, there's such a considered purchase. They're not really thinking about, is it a little more, a little less, because they have that restriction. So it's been a really interesting thing for us because in different stores, you're in different sets. And so when you enter that healthy store section, which most people would say, don't put me there, has been a really like a boon for us. So we're happy to be wherever we are.
More questions? We need at least one more question. Yes.
So co-founding a business is like a marriage. And in your case, it is a marriage. And so just curious, and not to say that this could be a case or not a case, but how do you handle like disagreements or just differences of opinion?
I usually just win them by default. No, it's, I think the experience of us working together on the agency side at first, we understood who's great at what. And now we're just like, all right, this is your path. You're really good at this. And I'm really good at that. And sometimes you just kind of like continue debating it. You duke it out. And the best one that argues the best wins, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting. And the other thing we get a lot is like, how do both of you, what happens if you guys fight? Like, how does the business operate? What do you do when you're married? And I'm like, the risks are much higher when all your eggs are in one basket and this is what you're doubling down on. I'm like, so we learn to fight fast is also the answer. We don't let things kind of drag out. We're like, all right, this is the debate. Let's solve it. Let's get to the bottom of it. And that's kind of how we do it.
Ian, do you have a response? Good job.
This
Back there was a question, young lady. Yeah.
And they want
the question was, what products are we looking to make next?
Oh yeah, we don't share that stuff. Are you crazy? Come on. No, we don't. Margaret, I'm a sharer.
Oh, Ian's such a sharer.
So like, and Margaret thinks loose lips sink ships, which I agree with to some degree, but I'm more generous with certain things, not that. But she is like one of the fights. It's like, shut your mouth. I'm a marketer, shut your mouth. And so we really say nothing. People literally ask us, where's the cereal made? And what do we say?
America.
In America.
No, but so there are things we're working on. And, I think as we look at our brand, we really want to build it as a platform brand. There's a reason it was 3 wishes and not just like happy cereal O's, or whatever it would have been. But we really want to bring across the same brand promises and the same consumer trust that we've worked really hard on building. So there's always something in that kitchen cooking.
But to that point and to your point, one thing I don't like that brands do that I want to make sure we don't do is we have tons of cool innovation that we could launch tomorrow. But I think it's also part of this new age direct to consumer overly funded playbook where you start skewing out because you got to grab revenue. And I think you've seen this happen outside of cereal and other categories or in food where they're like, oh, we got to go. So we're going to do a chip and a rice and a pizza and a soup. And look how big our brand could be. So yes, you should build the brand that one day, I think our North Star is like an Annie's organic, which, you'll eat their cheddar bunnies, you'll eat their mac and cheese, you'll have whatever their snacks are.
Healthy? Do we even
know if it's healthy? We don't know if it's healthy, but it's like cute. There's a bunny, it's organic, whatever, So like in general, that's a better for you, slightly premium priced, approachable for everyone. You feel good giving it to your kids. It's available to everyone. But I also think we're not trying to jump ahead. Like cereal's like a ridiculously massive category, and let's win there and really build our brand before we start just showing that we could grab revenue wherever our brand ostensibly could take us.
But I also want to know, what would you like to see next out of the brand? Bars.
Okay.
All right. We'll add that into the suggestion box.
All right. That's in the box.
Specific type of bars? Got it. Noted.
No problem. Yes, that's a prerequisite.
Anybody else? Sorry?
You know
Samples?
what? As I was walking on stage, I'm like, Ian, we forgot to bring the product with us.
Well, you know what? One of the things we struggle with, honestly, we're close to figuring out, we only have boxes. Like it's not so easy to go make smaller sizes. And I've been dying for that because there's such great opportunities to put a little bag on an airplane or anything. When your product's really good and it's not like, I think the marketing's good, but the product is ultimately what's taking us to where we're going. You want to get in people's mouths, anything to sample, because everyone's like, chickpea cereal, disgusting. And then they try it.
But I don't see a cereal dispenser in this kitchen, and then there's milk. So that should change and we should be the cereal. I'm just saying to whoever's listening at Danone.
And then there's a question back
there.
Your North Star as Annie's, but I was curious, as entrepreneurs who built a brand from the ground up, what brands you admire or you look up to. You did mention Annie's, but is there anyone else out there who you've kind of been inspired by?
Oh, food specific or no?
No.
We like Frida Baby.
I love Frida.
Chelsea works with her husband, Eric. You guys know those Frida products. That's a good one.
I'm a little biased to like women founders. So like I love Spanx and Sarah Blakely, people that have really just defied the way that people look at categories and who's creating them and serving them. And I often think about it. I'm the only female founder in the cereal category. Otherwise it's 3 big companies. And I, as a mom, know what I want to feed my family. And I think maybe that's my superpower, is like knowing how to create product for our consumer base and not just like a boardroom of people that are like, well, this claim sounds good. So yeah, I think those are Chelsea and Sarah Blakely are up there as founders for me. And those are 2 really great brands. But I mean, there's so many brands that we love. And then in food, as we look at product centric brands, Siete and their products, incredible. There's so many, but those are a few.
There was a question right here. Yeah.
Hold on, you need the mic. Hold on. All right.
Is it only us 2? Okay. Is it just the 2 of us? Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, there's more
No.
plays. Not
But
many more.
I do lose sleep, if that's the question. No, but we have a really core team. And the thing we realized is it's not so much about like the siloed roles and then making sure we're filling out an org chart. For us, it's output and really making sure we empower our team to learn other areas of the business, because it turns out that sometimes they get fascinated with something else and that's okay. And they want to learn and excel there. So I think it's just like finding a really great team that fits you culturally, first and foremost, and then someone that's really great at that function and that wants to do more. And that's been also like really, really amazing for us.
Early days of the agency, we did everything wrong. Like we won business, made terrible hires, blew the culture. So we did burn our hands a lot, fortunately, of the things you really don't want to do. And then when you realize hiring the right people is literally the entire thing. Not that you need a ton, but adding the right people to the team, the people you trust, that share your vision, that is kind of the X factor.
Anybody else? So for me, again, I think this is serendipitous for me, because what you guys just laid out there for everybody was just like me at my dinner table. My uncle created Honey Bunches of Oats. Okay, so he ran Joe.
You didn't tell us that before.
I didn't realize you guys were going to be this energetic, so I wasn't going to give it until later. But this is fantastic. Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you everybody for your
so much.
participation.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.